The fall of mankind. Many spiritual texts talk about a certain fall, something that occurred to humanity, to ultimately to consciousness that we use in order to function in time-space reality. So what is this true fall of mankind? Well, today I wanted to talk about that from my point of view, and perhaps it serves you some use as well on your journey, because ultimately to me it has to do with us becoming submissive to physicality with all its perceived limitations, instead of trusting in the power of spirit to overcome all obstacles we face. So you see, it is a fall in consciousness, making your consciousness entirely subservient to physical matter, instead of working with the freedom of consciousness and spirit over matter. So every time you give your power over to physical circumstances, know that to be a part of the fall of mankind, your fall, and you are called upon to rise individually into the truth that consciousness is the only real power in existence, giving form to all phenomena we observe and experience. You see, if humanity were to follow nature more in spirit, in their own spirit, in your spirit, if you were to do it, well, then you can also perceive then when the winter comes, that's good for spiritual contemplation. Nature is relaxed and asleep. Then summer comes and it's good for actively enjoying the fruits of spiritual wisdom in your life. But by now society is so complicated, people only focus on work or entertainment and forget all about their so-called spiritual natures entirely. There's a certain energy you feel in the summer, and in the winter it's a different energy. You can sense all of this in nature. I'm assuming that you've gone into nature yourself at times, but every time I do it, especially now that spring is in the air, everything is becoming green. It is so beautiful. It's so lovely to observe, to me personally, at least. But when it's like winter, then everything is, it seems, well, pretty much dead. Well, it's not dead, it's just asleep. That's what Jesus Christ always said. It's not dead, it sleeps. Well, everything sleeps in nature during winter. But here, how does this tie into the fall of mankind? Well, it ties into the fall of mankind that if we ourselves be subservient to physical reality only, being in total darkness and blindness and ignorance on what lies beyond it, well, then we'll never be able to truly, evolve and grow wisely, to gain more wisdom on how to go about stuff in our worlds. So the fall of mankind was that moment in time, whenever it was, but it's active right now in you and me as well. It is that thing where we are no longer using our imagination to solve our problems. Imagination is a divine faculty of consciousness. It's a spiritual power. And through imagination you can outgrow and overcome all of your physical issues. But you see, the fall of mankind states and shows us that we are looking at the physical world, and then we try to figure out a solution based on the state of the physical world also, and then we can't find it and we give up and we feel in despair, we feel dismay. This is also why it was written in scriptures, "My God, why hast thou forsaken me?" You see, God has never forsaken you, but what you could say is that we have forsaken our connection to God. But that doesn't mean that the connection is entirely cut and removed and you're forever gone. No, that's not the case, or you wouldn't be alive at all. So this connection, thankfully, is still there. The problem, though, is that we have put all these things in between us and God, in between us and the spiritual power of imagination. So look around you. Can't you see how most humans are only talking about how things are physically speaking? They're only talking about how things are going for others, how things are with their business, how their finances are going. You rarely hear people talk about how it's going with their own conscious evolution, about their spiritual evolution. It's like most people are indeed asleep to themselves. They say they're awake, but they're asleep to their own spiritual powers, their own essence, that unity they share with the whole universe. This again is part of the fall. Now, if something is fallen, it can also rise up. And this is the resurrection. You rise up in consciousness. You start to remember your true nature, your true spiritual self, the true spiritual powers that resides within you. That is part of the redemption that occurs within the individual, that will occur within you as well. So no matter what you face in life, I would say to you from now on, Instead of feeling intimidated by the physical things as they occur and happen, start exercising your imagination, your most powerful spiritual faculty of consciousness. Start to perceive things as you would like them to be, as you would want them to be, so that they can then turn into a reality, because that is how it goes. You don't just exist on a physical level, but our obsession is with physicality mostly. This is the problem. This is again as part of the fall of mankind. Being so obsessed with the physical that we forget the spiritual. The spiritual is your imagination. I dare it. I dare you to do it. Start imagining things as you would want them to be, even though it seems completely unrealistic. In a way that you do not know how it can occur, it will occur. This is what Neville said as well. How does this happen? Well, this happens by understanding that you are not just a physical being. Because even if you were to drop that right now, you still have the power of your imagination available to you. So you better train it right now. You better become familiar with this power, so that even beyond the grave you could use it if you want. Well, actually, that is the goal, that is the destiny of each and every individual, is to become totally in control of their own imagination, and they can create their own universe and experience whatsoever they desire. It will be under their total command. You see, lucid dreams are hinting at this possibility all along. I have been in worlds where everything was under my control. And yes, I will not deny that it's actually a lot more fun to be in such a world than this one, because here everything has to grow slowly, it seems. I mean, physically speaking, we have to be patient, all this conflict, and you're like, oh, this is not fun, and look at what this country is doing over there, all these wars, this chaos, and then if you were in a world that is totally under your control, you could instantly shift it around. But that is part of your divine destiny. But now that you're physically here, just understand that by using your imagination, you can alter and influence your physical reality. But as long as you don't either understand this or know this or even apply this, then you're still living under that hypnotic state of the fall of mankind. So it is once you come out of that, once you start to consciously work with this power of imagination, that is when you start to redeem yourself. You start to lift yourself up from where you had fallen, from towards what you had fallen. So this is all symbolic. You could symbolically look at this as if you fell from heaven onto earth. Now, that means that you now have a consciousness that only is completely engrossed in physical matter, in physical activities. Now you want to approach the heavenly. You want to become aware of what is heavenly inside your consciousness, so you allow it to expand and grow within you. And then you become lifted up, spiritually speaking, within your consciousness. That's what you literally feel. You feel yourself being lifted out of this darkness of physicality. And you can finally see an even greater world, a much greater reality, a world of possibilities. Ultimately, that leads you into realizing that you are an eternal being, not just a mortal physical man or woman that will eventually die and well, then the show is over. That's what people will say sometimes. The show won't be over. Every night you go to sleep, you have evidence of this. Can't you tell? You see, some people, they would tell me, I dream about what I've done during the day. I would tell them, if I dream, even like last night, I have these most biblical visions. They are so out of this world, these visions that I have in my consciousness. They might almost shock some people about what's going on there. But maybe another time I will share some of them again for fun. But here's the thing. If you dream about what you've done throughout your daytime, can't you see that you are walking in a copy of the physical world inside your consciousness? See, you have proof there that the whole universe pretty much exists within you. I mean, we can't just say only planet Earth, it's the whole universe. You see, how do I come up to that conclusion? Well, it's because sometimes I dream of myself walking through town, in the town that I'm living at. And then I wake up in my bed and I realize, okay, it was a dream. But yet I saw the town, I walked there, I could do all kinds of stuff. Supernatural things as well. Usually I tend to like fly around because this is fun. I'm like, I don't have to walk, let me just levitate. Hoo-hoo, here we go. That's how I do it, but personally. But again, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm walking a copy of the physical world inside my consciousness. Now sometimes I have seen these sunsets, these planets in the sky, these great majestic places that I know are not planet Earth. So therefore I conclude, well, who is to say that there is not just seeing other galaxies out there in the universe? Nobody can deny it. I can't deny it for sure. I mean, it's just all giant mystery. That's part of this mysterious nature of this universe, of life, of existence, of God. It is all beautiful once you open your mind in that direction and contemplate all of creation exists within myself. It's very true. When you see people that have passed away in your dreams and you talk with them, you have a conversation about how they're doing. They might ask you how you're doing, and you have a totally normal conversation like you would on physical Earth. Well, again, it shows you that these people that passed away, they exist within you. They are there. They are inside of you. You see, right now we see each other as outside of ourselves. But ultimately we come to the realization that everything exists within us, in you, in me. And it is that realization that will redeem you from this fall where you thought physicality, the physical life was the only thing there was. Because in doing so, you constantly keep putting limits on the power, on the divine power of your own imagination and of your own consciousness. Consciousness, awareness is God. It's the true and only God. It's the true and only power in all of creation that gives meaning and rise to all the phenomena we observe and experience, as I said before. You see, that's how it happens in your dream world as well. It's your consciousness giving rise to those phenomena. It's your conscience throwing into form a copy of the physical world inside of itself. That's your ultimate destiny, to realize that you will enter such a world when you pass away as well. But if you have never learned now that you're here, at least, about these mysterious things, well then, even if you're in your so-called dream world, which is just another dimension of the universe, well, you will go there and also still be subservient to what you experience and observe over there. So it's part of the awakening. The fall of mankind was falling asleep to their own powers. And the redemption of mankind will be the awakening, them becoming aware of the true power of their consciousness, and then they will rise up into more and more divine, blissful realms. It will bring you at least closer in contact and unity with God's nature. And wherever it go, well, we will see it when the time comes, because even I don't know how far this will all go. But I can only tell you, bliss and bliss, more and more bliss. I can feel it rise within me, and I know it can rise in you as well. Once you make the decision to finally wake up from the dream, from this physical dream, from this idea that you are just a human being, because you are not. Your human body is like a vessel. It's like something you use like any other object in your world. Your body is technically an object that you're using. Now go and find who is the one using it. Go and seek. Go seek ye within yourself and find the one who is using these vehicles called human bodies. And that is when the fall will finally start to turn into a redemption story, into a resurrection, into a rising within you towards the glory of God. Now, with that being said, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And as always, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.